In tropical forests around the world, there is a biological phenomenon that sounds like fiction but has been documented by scientists for decades. The infection develops inside their bodies, and eventually, the behavior of some infected ants changes in a very unusual way. They leave their normal environment, climb vegetation, and attach themselves to a specific location. After the ant dies, the fungus continues, growing and eventually produces spores that can infect other ants. This is where the expression zombie ant comes from. But the real story is much more interesting than the word suggests, because scientists aren't dealing with dead insects walking around like movie zombies. They are studying a real parasite host relationship, one that has developed through evolution and can influence the behavior of its host in ways that help the parasite reproduce. And to understand how extraordinary this really is, we have to start with something almost invisible: a fungal spore in the forest. Fungi release enormous numbers of microscopic spores into their surroundings. Most of those spores never successfully infect another organism. But when a suitable insect encounters a compatible fungal spore, the story can change. For certain species of Ophiocordyceps, the target is an ant. The spore can attach to the insect's body and begin the infection process. Once inside, the fungus grows through the host. The infected ant does not immediately become abnormal. It continues living, it continues moving, and for some time, there may be little obvious evidence that anything unusual is happening. But the fungus has its own life cycle. It needs nutrients from the host. It needs to survive inside the insect, and eventually, it needs to reproduce. That creates a biological problem. The fungus cannot simply grow anywhere and expect to succeed. Its reproduction depends on environmental conditions. Temperature and humidity can matter. The position of the host can matter, and the location where the infected insect dies can influence whether the fungus can successfully produce and spread its spores. This is why researchers became particularly interested in the behavior of infected ants. Healthy ants have highly organized lives. They spend much of their time around their colony and follow behaviors that help the entire group survive. They search for food. They communicate with other ants. They protect the nest. They respond to environmental conditions. But researchers studying infected ants have observed a very different pattern. At a certain stage of infection, some ants leave their normal areas and climb vegetation. Eventually, they can attach themselves firmly to a leaf or other plant structure. The behavior has been described in scientific literature as a form of host manipulation, and one of the most recognizable behaviors is the strong attachment of the ant to vegetation before death. This is sometimes called a death grip. The name sounds dramatic, but the biological reason is straightforward. The fungus benefits from getting the insect into an environment where its reproductive structures can develop and release spores effectively. The ant's final location therefore becomes extremely important to the fungus. This discovery created one of the most fascinating questions in parasitology. How does a fungus change the behavior of an animal? For a long time, people imagined a simple explanation. Perhaps the fungus enters the brain and directly controls the insect like a puppet. But scientific research has shown that the reality is considerably more complicated. Scientists have investigated infected ants using microscopy, molecular techniques, behavioral experiments, and genetic approaches, research has shown that fungal cells can be distributed throughout the host, and that the fungus can interact with tissues associated with movement. Some studies have also investigated changes in gene activity and chemical signaling during infection. This has changed how researchers think about the phenomenon. Instead of imagining a fungus sitting inside the brain and controlling every movement, scientists are investigating a much more sophisticated interaction between the parasite and the host's body. The fungus may influence behavior through multiple mechanisms involving the nervous system, muscles, metabolism, and chemical signaling. And that is important because we still do not know every detail. There isn't one simple switch inside the ant that scientists can point to and say, "This is the zombie button." The host is an extremely complicated biological system. The fungus is also a complicated organism. Their interaction changes as the infection develops, and the behavior of the infected ant can depend on the particular fungus and host species involved. One of the most interesting discoveries is that the fungus may not need to completely control the insect. It only needs to change its behavior enough to improve its own chances of reproduction. That is a much more realistic way to understand parasite manipulation. Evolution doesn't design organisms with intentions. Instead, variations that improve survival and reproduction become more common over generations. If a fungal strain happens to produce changes that help it reach a better environment for reproduction, that relationship can become stronger over evolutionary time. Generation after generation, the parasite and host can influence each other's evolution. This creates what scientists call an evolutionary arms race. The fungus develops ways to infect its host. The host develops defenses against infection. The fungus evolves mechanisms that help it overcome those defenses, and the cycle continues. The ant is not simply sitting there without any biological defenses. Like other insects, ants have immune systems capable of responding to pathogens. And social insects have another remarkable advantage. They live together. Ants interact constantly with one another, and these interactions can sometimes help limit infections. Ants can groom each other, removing foreign material from their bodies. They can respond differently to sick or contaminated colony members. These social behaviors can become part of the colony's defense against disease. So while the fungus is trying to complete its life cycle, the ant colony is simultaneously trying to protect itself. It is an invisible struggle happening at a microscopic scale. And this struggle has been occurring for an extraordinarily long time. But there is another reason the story became so famous. The fungus doesn't simply kill the ant wherever the infection happens to finish. In some documented host fungus systems, infected ants display behaviors that place them in locations favorable to fungal reproduction. After the ant dies, the fungus continues developing. Eventually, fungal reproductive structures emerge from the insect and release spores into the surrounding environment. Those spores can then encounter other suitable hosts. And the cycle begins again. This is why scientists are interested in the exact location of the infected ant. The environment surrounding the host can determine whether the fungus has a good opportunity to reproduce. A tiny change in humidity or temperature can potentially make a difference. The relationship between the parasite, the host, and the environment is therefore tightly connected. And this is where the phrase zombie ant can sometimes create the wrong impression. The ant isn't a supernatural creature. It isn't resurrected after death, and the fungus isn't making conscious decisions. There is no evidence that the fungus has a mind that thinks, "I need this ant to climb that leaf." Instead, this is the result of biological mechanisms shaped by evolution. The fungus has traits that allow it to survive and reproduce. The ant has traits that allow it to survive infection and other environmental threats. And over immense periods of evolutionary time, their interaction has produced a relationship that looks almost unbelievable. But the phenomenon doesn't stop with ants. Parasitic organisms throughout nature can influence their hosts in different ways. Some parasites alter host behavior in ways that increase transmission. Some change where hosts move. Others change how hosts interact with predators or potential new hosts. These relationships demonstrate something fundamental about biology. An animal's behavior is not controlled by the brain alone. Behavior emerges from interactions between the nervous system, muscles, hormones, metabolism, senses, environment, and countless chemical signals. If a parasite interferes with some of those systems, the host's behavior can change. That doesn't mean parasites have unlimited control. It doesn't mean every infected animal becomes a zombie. And it doesn't mean scientists have solved every mechanism involved. In fact, some of the biggest questions remain unanswered. Exactly how does Ophiocordyceps alter specific behaviors? Which molecules are involved? How does the fungus coordinate its growth with the host's physiology? How does it avoid being eliminated by the host's immune defenses? And how did such a precise relationship evolve? Scientists continue investigating these questions. And modern research has made the story more complicated, not less. That is one of the most important lessons from this phenomenon. The popular version says, a fungus takes over an ant's brain. The scientific reality is much more interesting. A parasite infects a host. The infection develops. The parasite interacts with the host's biological systems. The host's behavior can change. The changed behavior can benefit the parasite's reproduction. And all of this has emerged through evolution. No supernatural force is required. No fictional explanation is necessary. The natural world is already capable of producing relationships that seem almost impossible when we first discover them. And perhaps that is why the story of zombie ants has captured so much attention. It forces us to look differently at something we normally take for granted. Behavior. We usually think of behavior as belonging completely to the individual. An ant walks because it needs food. A bird flies because it wants to escape danger. An animal moves because it has made some kind of biological decision. But parasitology shows us that behavior can sometimes be influenced by another organism. The boundary between host and parasite can become incredibly complicated. And the most fascinating part is that we don't need to exaggerate the story. We don't need to call it supernatural. We don't need to say the fungus has human-like intelligence. We don't need to claim that scientists have discovered a perfect biological mind control system. The real discovery is already extraordinary. A microscopic organism can infect an insect. That infection can be associated with highly specific behavioral changes. Those changes can place the insect in an environment that benefits the parasite. The insect dies, the fungus reproduces, and the next generation of spores begins searching for another host. A complete biological cycle, hidden in the forest, invisible to almost everyone walking past it. So, the next time you see an ant moving across a leaf, it may look like one of the simplest things in nature. But inside ecosystems, even an insect can be part of a relationship millions of years in the making. And somewhere beneath the leaves, an invisible evolutionary battle is continuing. Parasite against host, survival against infection, and one organism using another organism's biology to continue its own existence. That is the real hidden secret behind the so-called zombie plants. Not magic, not fiction, not a horror story, just evolution producing something so strange that, if we had not discovered it in nature, we might have thought someone had invented it. Subscribe